How do you save a species on the brink of extinction? It's an important question that troubles conservationists around the world. Right now, the IUCN lists over 46,300 species as threatened with extinction, a sobering reality caused by climate change, habitat destruction, poaching, and even natural predators. While some species receive significant attention, such as the almost extinct northern white rhinoceros, others disappear with hardly anyone noticing. But every so often there's a glimmer of hope. A species defies the odds and claws its way back from the edge. These incredible comeback stories inspire hope that more species can be saved. With that in mind, let's talk about 15 animals that came back from the brink of extinction. Number 15. Blue iguana. Every other iguana seems plain once you've laid eyes on this beauty, found only in the Cayman Islands. Once teetering on the brink of extinction, the blue iguana faced threats from habitat development, human activity, well, don't blame us, road traffic, and invasive species. By 2002, their numbers had plummeted to just 15 individuals. But then everything changed when Fred Burton, a Cambridge University student, joined the Cayman Islands Mosquito Research and Control Unit in the 1980s. During a survey, he came across a lone blue iguana and fell in love with it. So he did some great things. He launched a breeding program in 1990 to save not just one, but the whole species. Fast forward to 2025, and 1,000, well, sorry for that, but 443 blue iguanas live happily ever after. Not bad for a species that was almost toast. Thanks to Fred, humanity has one more reason to believe we might not be entirely terrible, though we're still working on it. Number 14. American bison. Also known as the American buffalo, the American bison is one of the most well-known animals that came back from extinction in North America. For thousands of years, these giants roamed the vast bison belt, stretching from Alaska all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. They weren't just an iconic symbol of the Old West, but also a lifeline for many Native American tribes, providing everything from food to clothing. However, during the 19th century, these giants almost went extinct due to commercial hunting and widespread slaughter. Their population plummeted from over 60 million in the late 18th century to only 541 animals by 1889. Thankfully, some good folks decided this was not the way the story should end. Reintroduction campaigns, many thanks to native tribes, set out to save the species. The Intertribal Bison Council played a huge role in these efforts. Today, over 300,000 bison live throughout North America, mainly on private land. While their population is decent, it is still nowhere near its historical height. As per the IUCN lists, this American icon is classified as near threatened, just like the cute macaroni penguin. Number 13. Steller sea lion. The Steller sea lion, or as scientists like to call it, the great Eumetopias jubatus, is the heavyweight champ of the sea lion family. Back in the day, these massive giants were chilling across the northern Pacific, from Japan to California, living their best lives. But after the 1970s, their numbers took a nosedive, especially around Alaska and the Aleutian Islands. What just happened, not these dudes expected. Overfishing stole their food, climate change messed up their world, and predators like orcas and sharks didn't exactly help either. By the 1990s, their population had dropped by a jaw-dropping 80%. But as they say, don't roll in the hay with the sea lions. The Steller's comeback was a badass one. As of now, 2025, there are almost 81,327 Steller sea lions, and the digits are only going up. So, no matter how many times you got muss, mix-up, or shambles in life, you can get back up and keep swimming towards what you want. Number 12. Red kite. The red kite isn't just a bird, it's a legend. Once soaring across the UK, this magnificent raptor was wiped out in England by 1871 and Scotland by 1879, thanks to humans with itchy trigger fingers. By 1903, only a handful survived in Wales. But the story didn't end there. Over the past 30 years, red kites have been brought back with style. Birds from Spain and Germany were introduced to places like the Chilterns, Yorkshire, and northeast England. The Chilterns' population was such a hit that it became the starter pack for other areas. Today, red kites are one of the UK's fastest-growing bird species, gracing the skies with their elegant glides. It's a reminder that, occasionally, humans can fix what we break, if we put our minds to it. Number 11. Rarotonga flycatcher. The Rarotonga flycatcher, also known as the kookaburra, was almost wiped out by cats, rats, and European settlers. By the 1970s, it was thought to be extinct. But in a twist straight out of a nature documentary, tiny numbers were rediscovered in the wild. In the 1980s, the Cook Islands Conservation Service launched the Kookaburra Recovery Program, fighting back against rats and protecting nests. By 2001, the flycatcher population had grown enough to share the love. 30 birds were relocated to the nearby island of Attu. By 2018, their numbers on Attu had swelled to at least 123. Now, over 400 flycatchers call Rarotonga home. Their story is proof that with a little care and a lot of determination, even the smallest voices in nature can be heard loud and clear. Number 10. Eurasian beaver. The Eurasian beaver is basically nature's engineer, and its comeback is nothing short of epic. Hunted to extinction in the UK by the 16th century for their luxurious fur and musk, these dam builders disappeared for centuries. Then, in 2013, a family of wild beavers popped up on the River Otter as they'd never left. Conservationists convinced DEFRA to run a 5-year trial and surprise, the beavers' dams helped restore wetlands, reduce flooding, and boost biodiversity. Now beavers are making waves across England, Scotland, and Wales. In 2021, 3 generations of beavers were spotted on the River Avon, marking the first natural settlement in 400 years. It's a wild comeback story, proving that sometimes the best way forward is to let nature do its thing. And for us, it's a lesson. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. All right, folks. Now, let's head over to Number 9. Northern pool frog. The northern pool frog might not sound like a celebrity, but it's got a comeback story worthy of the spotlight. This little amphibian, similar in size to the common frog, completely disappeared from England in 1995 when its breeding ponds dried up faster than a spilled drink in the desert. Enter the 2000s, and a top-secret operation was launched to bring them back. For 3 years, 30 frogs were flown in from Sweden and released at the cryptically named Site X. These frogs did their thing, and soon their tadpoles were hopping all over. Fast forward to 2018, and the frogs were reintroduced to Thompson Common, their old stomping ground, managed by Norfolk Wildlife Trust. This amphibian comeback is a remarkable tale of resilience and careful planning, proving that even the smallest creatures can inspire big conservation victories. Now, let's walk in the sky with Number 8. Spix's macaw. If you thought Rio was just a cute movie, think again. Spix's macaw, the bright blue bird that inspired it, was declared extinct in the wild by 2000. Deforestation and the pet trade hit them hard, leaving only about 20 survivors tucked away in private collections. Fast forward to a conservation mission straight out of a blockbuster. Breeding programs worldwide worked tirelessly, and in 2022, a small group of Spix's macaws were reintroduced into the wilds of Brazil. To help them adjust, they had some unlikely mentors, wild Illiger's macaws, to teach them survival skills. Now, these feathered rock stars are making a comeback, proving that even when you hit rock bottom, there's always a way back up. The skies of Brazil are a little brighter with their return. Number 7. Bermuda petrel. The Bermuda petrel, or Cahow, is basically the ghost story of the bird world. Sailors in the 1600s saw them everywhere, but by 1620 they were gone. Overhunting and invasive predators did them in, or so everyone thought. Fast forward to 1951, when one unlucky petrel flew into a lighthouse and kick-started a wildlife mystery. Conservationist David Wingate, a teenager at the time, led a search that uncovered 18 nesting pairs. He didn't just stop there. He dedicated his life to bringing them back. In 2018, the IUCN stated there were 196 mature petrels, and their population is growing. While they're still considered endangered, it's 2025, so who knows what'll happen. Either way, the Bermuda petrel is a living reminder that nature is full of surprises. Number 6. Galapagos giant tortoise. When it comes to survival stories, the Galapagos giant tortoise takes the crown and the century. And you know why? Well, because this dude has been around since the time of T-Rex. These ancient reptiles can grow up to 900 pounds in weight and can live over 170 years. But by the 1970s, even this long-aged giant was in deep trouble. Their numbers had dropped from 250,000 to just 3,000. And the reasons are simple: overhunting, invasive species, and habitat loss. But if we look now, there are around 15,000 individuals thanks to conservation efforts. As we said back, we can fix what we break, and the Galapagos giant tortoise is proof of that. Sadly, they are still in danger. ICON lists them as vulnerable due to their slow growth rate, late sexual maturity, and differences between island species. But we can hope and pray and do our best to conserve them. Number 5. California condor. Well, this beauty might not make you fall in love at first sight, but the California condor is a true sigma. As North America's largest vulture and land bird, it once dominated the skies and also the lands of the southwestern U.S. and parts of Mexico. But by the 20th century, pesticides like DDT, habitat destruction, and poaching pushed this scavenger to the edge of extinction. By 1987, the situation was so dire that scientists declared them extinct in the wild, with only 27 birds left, every single one in captivity. Determined not to let them disappear forever, conservationists launched a massive and expensive captive breeding program. At $35 million and counting, it's one of the costliest conservation efforts ever. Thankfully, it's paying off. By 2019, the population had climbed to 518, with many birds soaring free once more. Still critically endangered, the California condor's journey reminds us that even the toughest battles are worth fighting. Number 4. Giant panda. The giant panda, or Ailuropoda melanoleuca, is easily one of the world's most beloved animals, but even these bamboo-munching icons weren't safe from the brink of extinction. By the 1970s, their numbers had plummeted to just 1,000 in the wild, thanks to rampant habitat destruction and poaching. Their reliance on a bamboo-only diet, 99% of what they eat, and their slow reproduction rate made recovery seem nearly impossible. But the panda's story turned into one of the most ambitious conservation efforts in history. The Chinese government stepped in, implementing strict anti-poaching laws and creating reserves to protect their fragile habitat. Decades of captive breeding programs also played a crucial role in their recovery. Today, there are around 3,000 pandas in the wild, a huge win for conservation. While no longer endangered, they remain vulnerable. A reminder that keeping this species safe requires constant effort. Number 3. Bald eagle. Once soaring as a proud symbol of the United States, the bald eagle came dangerously close to extinction by the mid-20th century. These majestic birds were victims of habitat loss, illegal hunting, and, most devastatingly, the widespread use of the pesticide DDT, which caused their eggshells to thin and break. By the 1950s, only 412 nesting pairs were left in the lower 48 states. In response, the U.S. government enacted the Bald and Golden Eagle Protection Act in 1940 and later listed them as endangered in 1967. Conservation groups and federal agencies worked tirelessly, banning DDT and launching recovery programs to save the species. Fast forward to today, and the bald eagle has made a triumphant comeback, with over 316,700 individuals soaring across North America. Once endangered, they now thrive and are classified as a species of least concern by the IUCN, a true testament to the power of protection. Number 2. Rodriguez flying fox. On the small island of Rodriguez in the Indian Ocean, the Rodriguez flying fox plays a vital role as a pollinator and seed disperser. But by 1979, their numbers had plummeted to just 70, thanks to tropical storms and overhunting. Without intervention, both the bats and the native plants they support were doomed. The Dural Wildlife Conservation Trust stepped in, rallying zoos around the world to create captive breeding programs. On Rodriguez, conservationists worked closely with the local community to protect these bats and their habitat. By 2016, their population had soared to around 20,000, a great recovery for an island species. Despite ongoing challenges, the Rodriguez flying fox is a shining example of how global collaboration and local action can save even the most vulnerable species from disappearing forever. But sadly, we can't save everyone. Number 1. Island fox. Found only on 6 of the 8 Channel Islands off California's coast, the island fox, or Eurasian littoralis, is a true local legend. But by the late 1990s, their numbers were in freefall. The decline of bald eagles allowed golden eagles to invade, preying heavily on the tiny foxes. Habitat loss and disease didn't help either, leaving some island populations with fewer than 100 individuals. In 2004, 4 island fox subspecies were listed under the Endangered Species Act, prompting intensive conservation efforts. Recovery programs included breeding in captivity, reintroducing bald eagles to restore balance, and removing invasive species from their habitats. Today, the island fox is a conservation success story, with its population rebounding to over 4,000 mature individuals. Although still listed as near threatened, thanks they are not totally extinct. Hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.